It's day 3 for the European Nexus games, and we have seen ups and downs, smiles and frowns, as 16 of the best European national teams are duking it out to find out who's going to crown themselves champions of Europe. My name is Kendrick Swish, and it is my pleasure to welcome you back onto this new Playday. And on the panel, we're here, and I'm being joined by the wonderful Bakery and the ever so charming Tetcher. And we're going to bring you some of the action that's going to go down here on this third Playday. Gentlemen, we've seen some crazy games yesterday and the day before yesterday. What were your personal highlights?
My personal highlight was probably the Netherlands. They were our dark horses, but we did not expect them to have such a dominant performance against Spain in the last game yesterday.
I'm a sucker for individual moments kind of thing, and you can't beat a full wipe at boss for both teams, and Sonya just casually strolling in, picking up like half the gems and the boss. That's really satisfying.
Just casually picking it up and becoming a very rich woman. I liked it. Now, for those of you who weren't able to catch all the action yesterday or the day before, we're going to show you what the groups consist of here. At the Nexus Games, we have four fantastic groups filled with awesome players and teams. First one is Group A, consisting of France, Italy, Finland, and the United Kingdom, which Bakery and Tetra are very excited about. I can already feel it. Group B, my boys, the German team, followed by Hungary, Belgium, and Denmark. Last but not least, we're going to have Group C and D, the Netherlands, Poland, Czech Republic, and Spain. Russia, Sweden, Portugal, and Ukraine in Group D. And so far, I think it's safe to say that most of the teams that looked good on paper haven't really disappointed, with the only real exception here being Hungary and Netherlands. I think those two teams nobody really had on the radar.
Yeah, and we can also talk about some of the teams who people expected to do slightly better. Spain, for example, in Group C, people would probably have expected them to beat the Netherlands, but as Bakery said, the Netherlands really showing up with the performance. Zavalosh and Co. taking the first win in their group.
I was also really impressed by Portugal yesterday. I'm really excited to see what they can do in the rest of the tournament.
Same.
Absolutely, and we're going to find out which best of threes we're going to watch today as we take a look at the schedule. France versus Italy is going to be our very first best of three, followed by Denmark versus Belgium. Germany is then going to fight Hungary, and last but not least, Finland is going to fight it out against the United Kingdom. And which one of those series is your personal highlight of the day?
We have the battle of the top of Group A here. As the very first game, we have Italy versus France. France put on a devastating show, and Italy were incredibly effective in what we saw. A load of Hero League players coming together and putting on a good show. This will decide who is in currently first place in that group, and probably who will decide who goes out of that group in first place.
Bakery, what about Team UK? Can they come back after a pretty one-sided defeat on the first day?
Well, the good news for the UK is that they are going up against Finland, who we thought was going to be a really strong team coming into the tournament, but they also did not perform how we expected them to on day one. So they definitely have a chance, but it's going to be hard after getting demolished by fans.
Yeah, and who would have thought that the very first game of the day would be such an interesting and exciting one? Team Italy, as you guys said, not the biggest of names on paper, but their performance and their display in the first day was quite marvelous. France, on the other side, we see former HGC pros Danatan in there, Kirva as well, looking very strong as a whole, and they demolished their opponents as well.
They really, really did in terrifying fashion. And it's a question of if Italy, we saw they were impressive, but are they devastatingly impressive? That's how I would have described France after the previous games. And Italy right now, they've got their work cut out for them.
Yeah, absolutely. This could be described as the ultimate test for the Italian team that's looking so strong, but can they carry their momentum up against such a big powerhouse like France? Now, before we lose any more time, let's get right to the nitty-gritty and take a look at the map veto phase here that we have before of each best of three. Now, a little public service announcement. Due to a nuclear accident on Volska Foundry, we're no longer having really a connection to the Triglyph Protector. They're offline for now. And instead, we're going to a more nuclear place. As you can see, Warhead Junction is now activated and ready to be taken.
And it's gone. Banned out by Hungary. Sorry, it's
can't really blame them.
Well, it didn't last very long, did it?
No.
Yeah, it lasted about 4 seconds.
It was nice to see it. At the same time, also glad it's banned down.
Yeah, and Haunted Mines being the other ban from France here. This does leave us with Black Hearts. There's the small chance one of these teams. It's been in the map pool the entire time, but we have yet to see it played.
Exactly. Tomb of Spider Queen could be our first battleground, as a little bird just tweeted in my ears. So we're basically following a very similar pattern compared to yesterday, where a lot of teams decided, you know, Tomb of Spider Queen was a good battleground to start things off.
See, and this is interesting because it really could be either team who opted to pick this battleground. Italy had a decent performance, and we said they were very impressive. But France, in the early game against United Kingdom, they looked weak. United Kingdom got the first turn in. It was only once France got rolling that they actually looked impressive and did close the gap very convincingly. So Italy might have sensed some weaknesses, but at the same time, France might have said, if we can clean up our early game, this is our map.
So this is Italy going to be trying to take control of the early game, or at least trying to take control in draft to give them that hard wave clear potential that we do see popularized so much on this map.
Yeah, and if we talk about Tomb of Spider Queen and the French team, we need to highlight one player in particular. I believe it is Danatan, who is such a beast on that Zagara.
Yeah, absolutely. He's climbed to the very top of Hero League playing at Zagara.
Definitely true. And one of the other specialists that's very good at pushing was banned out here already on the side of Italy, on the side of France, excuse me. We've got Asmoden no longer in the equation.
Italy were the ones who played it on the first day, right? So
yeah, one of our standouts from the first day was Moldavius. He had a fantastic game on Asmodan on Volskaya, if you remember, and then he played a fantastic game of Stukov as well. So France instantly deciding Moldavius is the key to this Italy team.
Yeah, definitely true, and it's so cool to see how some of the players weren't really familiar with before the tournament started have risen up and stepped up to become the carry of the team.
Absolutely. This has been one of the most exciting things for me. As someone who cast the Open Division, I like to think that I see a lot of potentially unknown talent, but this tournament has just revealed so many so cool names to me that are just really impressing me already, as we see the EDC banned out and Tastar picked up early.
And of course, we're also going to remind Twitch chat out there to root for your favorite team. Who do you think is going to take this game? Let's find out here by typing either hashtag FRWin if you're rooting for the French team, or hashtag ITWin if you're in favor of Italy. It's very close right now, 55 to 45. I think if Italy hadn't played that strong in the first play day, I think that vote would have looked very different.
Agreed. If we were going blind into this, then France's vote would be way higher already.
Absolutely. But at the same time, the Italian fans were very supportive even on that first day. There's a lot of Italian pride, and for the correct reasons.
Definitely true. Now, Tassadar in the game, he's actually made it through all the way. He's been one of the most prominent, most popular bans for several days in a row now. And the infamous double doggo as well, the Greymane and the Rhaegar. Once again, strong wave clear, good early rotations.
So both teams opting for this PvE style, securing the wave clear that Rhaegar, Greymane, and also Tassadar do bring. Now, the interesting thing for France, are they going to pick up the Tracer, Tassadar Tracer, a brutal combination and very popular, especially on Tomb of the Spider Queen, because of the amount of control over the rotation that it can give?
Who would you think would play the Tracer? Kirva, maybe?
I think so, or potentially one of the other players who we don't know as much about. But Kura is who I would jump to. We did, however, see France crushing the Tracer from the UK.
Oh, there it is.
The Zagara returns to the battlefield.
Danatan securing that Zagara, a very flexible pick on this map. Most maps, Zagara is stuck to one lane. She's stuck in the solo lane, and it's only once the lane phase ends that the map really opens up for her. On Tomb of the Spider Queen, the solo lane can be top or bot, and how you rotate can be completely different depending on the rest of your team comp. So, a bit of a risky early pick still. Zagara definitely not meta to be picked this early, but something that France can make work for them.
We did see France using it to great effect in the last matchup that we saw them in, using Zagara to go between the lanes very quickly, putting herself in situations that sometimes might have been a little bit risky, but she was always available to rejoin her team with those Nidus Worms and got a monumental amount of gems from those quick Nidus Worm rotations.
Now, 2 days ago, the UK team tried to best this Zagara with a Tracer Medic combo in lane to really always keep her occupied, to never really let her get to the buildings. Didn't work out too well throughout the game, but what can a team do to really shut down a Zagara?
Shutting down Zagara is hard. The first thing that you have to do is you have to have a solo lane that can hold its own and will not lose the wall. And then you have to have a good enough rotation that you can justify sending one, maybe two people down to clear that creep, to keep the Zagara penned in and not let her have completely free reign. So already, when you have the Rhaegar Greymane, both of those have a lot of gank pressure, and both of those have wave clear. So far, Italy are well equipped to deal with it.
Yeah, something that happens to me a lot when I play Hero League and I face Zagara is that normally a player will step up and pick a Genji to really go for those deadly early ganks over the wall. Zagara probably won't be able to see him quickly enough. What do you think about that, Tetcher?
I like the idea of it. They are currently hovering over some other options as well. The Gul'dan and a Nubrak, more dive potential. There's early game ganks like we are emphasizing. Both Genji and Nubrak are good for that. Gul'dan is the other method we were talking about. Someone who is going to be able to sustain in that bot lane, assuming he doesn't get too harassed by the Hunter Killers. This would allow him to potentially try and hold that bottom wall or top wall, depending on the lane setup.
Something that we picked up about Italy in their first series was that they reacted really well to what the enemies were doing. And that's the theme here as well. They've, I think, been drafting with this Zagara in mind because they have picked Veigar Greymane, which are two of the most solid picks against Zagara, and they have banned Johanna to make sure that they can control that rotation in topside.
And already there's a lot of AoE wave control gone. I mean, there's no Asmodee, there's no Gul'dan, there's no Johanna. So it really comes down to, I feel, ganks and how you control lanes by killing the enemy heroes instead of just, getting wave after wave after wave.
And Italy are very equipped, like Bakery said earlier, for killing enemy heroes. Greymane and Rhaegar, some of the most insane burst in the game. Either of Greymane's heroics are appropriate for this, although so far no tanks have been picked for France, so the potential for Go for the Throat is still available. Tassadar can be a bit of a thorn in the side of Italy for that.
The Garrosh comes through, and you brought up a nice point to observe there, Tetra. It's a completely different drafting pattern from what we saw yesterday, where there was a lot of focus on ETC, sometimes on Arthas, so Warriors were a lot more prioritized than here.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'm not a fan of Garrosh. I really do not like Garrosh, especially when you pick him in a competitive environment where both teams are real teams. But here, I like the pickup. We were talking about how Italy absolutely need to have control of that rotation, and that is what Garrosh is going to give them. They have the combo of Malfurion and Garrosh. They can flip someone back into the roots, completely lock them down. The damage that they have from Veigar Greymane as well is also very scary. So far, Italy drafting very well again.
Yeah. Punishing the lack of potential of mobility or escape potential from Zagara could be a real big deal here. Like, for example, Stitches used to be one of the old beta counters to Zagara back when her kit was rapidly different, but where her entire strategy was to basically devouring more set up for a wombo combo. Nowadays, she is more of that split push style, though.
Yeah, and speaking of Nidus Worms and establishing a nice network of Nidus Worms, so hold that thought here. Tracer's being locked in on the side of France, so they won't have to face it like they did on play day 1, but they're going to play it. And as we said, Kirva is a really good ranged assassin when it comes to those flexible, hardcore, engaging picks.
So this is something we did expect, seeing that Tassadar first pick. I do like the patience. They held it all the way to the end because they knew that Italy would be focusing on the Zagara more than anything else. The one concern that France is going to have, they are low on damage. They have Tassadar, they have Brightwing, and they have Zagara. Their only real damage dealer is going to be that Tracer. And up front, they have Myrden. He's not even a high damage tank with the new rework. So definite concern for them. Double sustained support on the side of Italy. So we'll see what Italy get last here, but these drafts so far looking completely even. So
Tracer can offer a little bit of percentage damage as well with her usual level 10 pick. This will help dealing with that Garrosh, who is a threat in the front line. And Stitches, double punishment for Zagara, and the potential for one of the funniest wombos in the game with the hook gorge into the Thray behind your own base combo. But percentage damage, like we said, for dealing with these two very high health tanks is now lacking. Becky, would you think maybe Tassadar altering his build to the old-fashioned percentage damage build could be viable here?
It definitely could be. Auto-attack Tassadar definitely fallen out of favor, but it didn't have to. This is a game where you can still definitely pick that up. They have two frontliners who do not have threat on Tassadar when they do not have cooldowns. Both the cooldowns being 16 seconds long.
Yeah, and both teams, I think we can definitely observe that, or we could observe that during the draft, are going for a very safe approach. Double support on either side, 2 tanks or 1 beefy tank on the side of France there as well. So it's going to be hard, really, to take anyone out in the earlier stages of the game, isn't it?
The one concern I do have for Italy is that in the actual team fights, when it gets down into it and it becomes a bit of a crazy environment, they definitely do struggle. France can wreak havoc in those kind of fights.
Italy are looking to control. They have very control-heavy heroes in the form of Stitches with hooks, Garrosh with flips, potential for Gorge, for taunts. It's very much up to those two heroes to control the fights, while Greymane is just left to do whatever he wants. But like you said, in chaotic fights, which is potentially what France's team favors, that could be a bit difficult.
Yeah, and we're going to take another look at those votes here real quick. Not really much has
Still
changed.
pretty-
France still getting solid. Would you agree with that, Bakery?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is an accurate voting percentage. Fans looked very strong on day one and potentially tournament favorites. But at the same time, Italy, another strong showing, and a lot of people believe in them.
Yeah. Tetcher, last statement before we go into the game.
I love the idea of that punishing comp of Stitches, Garrosh. Let's see if they can execute it. I'm going to put my faith in Team Italy.
And why don't you continue to introduce the French team to us?
I shall do, ladies and gentlemen. Spawning on the left-hand side, it is going to be Team France, and playing for them, Masquerade on that Tassadar. Wonka on the Muradin. Curva is playing on that Tracer. Chilling in the bot lane. Danatan back on the Zagara, and Ewok is on the Brightwing.
And give it up for the Italian team with Booyah on Stitches, Fatal Era on the Rhaegar, Rayquaza on the Malfurion, Cess playing the Greymane, and Moldavius, a player to be on the lookout for here on this Garrosh.
So Garrosh has started off with that extra
nice
throw
mount, by the way.
range.
Yeah.
He really is they
all have the same mount?
synergy, except for Rhaegar and Malfurion. So
I
close.
mean, Rhaegar can't ride a mount.
Rhaegar can't, but Malfurion, he just wanted this colour synergy, which is still fine. Green skin, green mount, this makes it acceptable. But I do like the extra throw range. Like we said, they are going for maximum possible punishment. However, there's only really one hero they can punish. Zagara is the only one without some form of escape. Brightwing could take Blink Heal later on, and if they do not lock down Brightwing, she will teleport away. Tassadar Dimensional Shift, Tracer with the Recall, and Muradin with Dwarf Toss. The only vulnerable hero, at least in the late game, is going to be Zagara.
Yeah, we're going to take a closer look at Brightwing's talent build as the game goes on here, because keep in mind that Tassadar doesn't have a cleanse, and especially against all that crowd control potentially happening on this side of Team Italy with the roots from Malfurion, the combo by Garrosh, and of course also the Stitches hook that can never be discarded. The lack of cleanse can really cripple you, especially when you have targets that have low mobility like Zagara or the Brightwing herself.
It really can. Stitches, though, it's very unlikely, especially on a map that is small, that we're going to be seeing the fitting hook, but it is possible, so there's even more long-range punishment options. For now, though, he's trying to increase his team's damage. Right now, the solo, we saw the unrivaled strength used there onto Wonka, but he's able to dwarf toss away.
Yeah, he also waited very patiently here before he used that dwarf toss. Sometimes it's really nice to not pull the escape mechanism immediately, so you can potentially bait the enemies into focusing a lot more, and then your arriving teammates can really retaliate and turn this around. What we can already see, though, is a very nice creep spread on that bottom half.
Oh,
that is a good hook, though.
Garrosh, unrivaled strength into tower range, and Brightwing becomes first blood.
And that's exactly what we were talking about during the draft. The infamous hook into Thrall, Garrosh combo. Wrong orc there. They all look the same to me.
Whoa now.
Oh, that's definitely what France needs to be on the lookout for. I mean, a lot of mechanical skill and a big name doesn't protect you from a Stitches hook. So even players like Curva, Danatan, they can never discard these aggressive early game plays by Italy. And that's exactly what their draft was built around. Get those early pickups.
Oh,
there we go. Ewok gets again caught. The Brightwing.
That's good recall. Good recall, just as the route expired, so able to escape there.
They're dominating these early game rotations. We said that the Italian team was looking for this exact kind of playstyle. They have not the largest amount of wave clear. They're all about rotating and ganking and catching people off guard.
Yeah, and it's going to be very hard to catch them off guard with the Muradin being the main go-to engage tool until Brightwing can potentially get Emerald Wind, and Garrosh being the furthest forward hero. But he's taken Indomitable, going for that Unstoppable at level 4.
Exactly, and Unstoppable is always a nice thing to have, especially against the Polymorph, the Muradin, Storm Bolts, and Slows. Quite frankly, when your warrior doesn't care about what the enemy warrior could do to him, you're going to have a wonderful time engaging on the enemy team.
Garrosh taking a little bit of damage, but he is harassing Fatal Error. Booyah will be enough to drive him back, though. But
nice
Wonka,
hook.
Very nice hook. Wonka is in a nice position to continue to zone away from any turn opportunities. We see the Wrecking Ball having to be used to give Booyah that chance to escape.
I'm starting to get a little bit worried about Team France here, since no matter who they put when it comes to damaging enemy warriors, they're not going to have an easy time. They have very little tank shredding. Actually, no percentage damage until level 10 for the Tracer.
Tass hasn't gone for the auto attack so far. He can still take some percentage damage, but it's not going to be potentially as efficient as if he had gone for that full auto attack build. Instead, he is very committed to this Tracer.
Also, look at the gym counter, Tetcher. 44 out of 50 already in favor of Team Italy. They're going to turn in 3 more. Okay. Yeah, 3 more.
Wonka continuing to do a great job zoning, though. He's really keeping the pressure on here. Stun onto the Malfurion. Good hook onto Kuro. Once again, forcing the teleport, but Brightwing coming to join the team. But it's too late, as we already see Italy have turned in for the first Web Weaver wave. Careful, Tracer.
Yeah, that was very nicely done. I mean, the constant pressure of the Garrosh combo and the situations really forces a lot of attention by Team France. It's very risky to just send 1 or 2 people interfering with a turn-in by Team Italy, so they're always going to have at least 3 or 4 there, and that opened up nicely done.
And that is why we were talking about Kuroma's Tracer a little bit earlier. And just to be quick, there is actually, I forgot to mention, another percentage-based talent we could see here. Corrosive Slime is a talent for Zagara at level 16, so our Hunter Killers will do 2% health damage, which could be the talent choice here, but the usual Mutalisk is still very nice.
It's very nice, especially when it comes to shoving lanes, especially when you have a nicely established Nidus network. And Ewok needs to be careful. He catches another hook into a combo and loses quite a substantial amount of gems there as well. Now it is Wonka who's getting sandwiched and body blocked. Is he going to make it? No, he is not. A double kill for Team Italy.
And Booyah taken down by Tracer, though. The counter kill. Kurma is really keeping France alive in this game. But like you said, with Garrosh delivering the Greymane onto the death of Muradin with that into the Thray, picking up level 7, Italy are still in very strong control, but they're not too far ahead. It's far from over.
Exactly. Team Italy is not untouchable. We've just seen that.
They're Garrosh at level 4.
Exactly. Well played. The amount of damage a player of Kira's caliber can dish out, surprisingly, can never be underestimated.
Yeah, even he blew up Stitches there. He was able to find the one
It's only going to get worse at level 10.
Yeah, he was trying to find the one weak target that he thought he had the blow up potential for, was able to pick it out from a huge group of people and kill it off. And that is a sign of a very good Tracer play.
Wonka Stormbolt not hitting. The hook does, though, hitting on Kirva, but the shield's immediately there. And we're going to have to find out how often Tassadar will be able to save Tracer here. Those two together are crucial for a good team fighting performance from Team France. Of course, in the early game where it's all about saving forwards and saving towers who are really far into the battlefield, it's not always easy to have those in the same lane because Tassadar, as we can see, is the solo laner against a Rengar. And oftentimes, if you send Tassadar into a solo lane, you're going to lose a lot of value early on when Tracer could have done so much more with him.
Oh, force wall here for the Tassadar. Wonka trying to CC the Stitches, sorry, who gets Ancestral and Cleanse, keeping him alive. He did go to Putrid Pile, not going for that wombo combo with the into the Thray. Instead, wants to, into the Thray, sorry, instead trying to go for a little bit of lockdown, a little bit of escape potential denial.
Yeah, and I like those force walls here as well. And normally, if you go for the Sidestorm Tassadar build these days, you go for the Archon for additional team fight damage. It also gives Tassadar an additional escape potentially against all those hooking maneuvers that Team Italy can do. Oh, hold on, fatal error here. Very close to dying. I think he just met a feisty little dwarf in the wrong alley.
Feisty little dwarf, potentially a little bit of Tracer as Moldavius shucks Tracer away, drops the taunt as he tries to flee, and he will be able to escape, but that was a good distraction, allowing Masquerade to get the turn in. A hook on Tass, not going to be able to achieve much here. Into the fray, putting Booyah to safety.
Moldavius, what a bro, saving his warrior mate Stitches there over the wall. Very nice done. You can see it. Oh, Kirva can just easily blink out of that. No problemo whatsoever.
So to confirm, Moldavius is the one who played Asmodan and the Stukov.
Absolutely.
He has now played 3 different heroes on 3 different roles in 3 different games. What a player.
And that's really cool to observe here as well. In the European Nexus games, we have sometimes not ideal team composition in terms of role distribution. There we go. They got the kill. Beautifully done. That Greymane is no more.
Yeah, you were saying about hero roles.
Yeah, hero roles. I mean, the teams weren't really... Oh, hold on. I can't finish my thought. There's constant action going on here. Booyah being the next target to be focused, but the teams weren't formed according to roles, right? Sometimes you end up having 2 main supports in your team or 3 main warriors, and you have to adjust. You have to be flexible. That's very important if you want to succeed here on the national level.
Exactly, and it's also quite nice to see, because in Hero League, you're not always going to get your main role. So being as flexible as someone like Moldavius is a really good sign of a solid player, at least for the Hero League side. And it allows him, if he was to try and transition to Pro, it allows him to pick one of those roles later and grow on it.
Yeah, and especially Moldavius, who before the whole tournament even started had only one word to say about his favorite hero. That was Asmodee. Nothing else.
He played it.
And he played it. And apparently he's not that Asmodee one-trick pony that we titled him to be before we even knew more infos on Team Italy.
Recall used by Tracer, able to pull herself away from that dangerous situation. Zagara coming in from the side, putting some harassment onto the Greymane here. Ancestral landing on the stitches as he pushes way forward. Twilight Dream gets 4. Tracer's doing everything she can, but she can't save her teammate.
Here, my friend.
Dimensional shift.
No way.
Oh, huge cheeky chap. Can they find him? Bafurian's chasing. Bafurian's chasing.
I think he knows. I think Rayquaza knows.
Oh, he's so close. No! He was so close. He didn't see him.
I thought Illidan was the blind brother.
Oh,
I mean,
well played.
Normally the the Moonfire gives you a little bit of vision to where it was cast, but unfortunately, I think Rayquaza didn't have enough vision. Otherwise, he could have maybe seen the Tassadar who was about to teleport away in Hearthstone home. But man, still,
wow,
what an escape by Masquerade, but what a team fight by Team Italy, destroying 2-3 members of the big favorite Team France.
Absolutely, that Twilight Dream was beautiful. The Putrid Bile to prevent any kind of escape, very nicely executed by Team Italy, and their comp is working, Kendrick. This is the point. We said what they needed to do was to get control and keep it. Just grab hold and keep a hold, and that's what they're doing. Now the question is, can they do it into the late game?
Exactly. Can they do it in the late game? Pick compositions that feature heroes like Garrosh or Stitches traditionally fall off a little bit as we're getting closer to 16 to 20. That's normally the team that has a Zagara, that has the better macro play overall to really strike back and retaliate. Beautiful save. Moldavius continues to impress.
This is potentially becoming my favorite player just in all of Heroes. We'll keep an eye on him, see if he continues to perform so well as the Web Weavers putting on a bit of pressure. Fatal error again being saved. Come on, Storm is dropped, but he is able to retreat and pick up a fountain.
I thought Cats had 9 lives, but look at Rhaegar here really proving to be that he is such a hard target to kill. But by the same token, we also have to criticize Fatal Error a little bit. His positioning, especially when playing a hero like Rhaegar, needs to be a little bit more conservative. He can't always bank on his allies to save him. Yeah,
there's a lot to do. It's a little bit to do with positioning here, due to the fact that he's potentially not used to having as much pressure on him as he's currently have. A lot of this is to do with the Tracer, who is doing a fantastic job. This is not all Fatal Error's fault here, but Tracer putting on all of that pressure. The difference is, though, he should be the one reacting to it a little bit more. Either way, the fact he has not died as much as we would expect against the Tracer, he is pulling off a reasonable job.
And just in case you're wondering why heroes are using their abilities all the time, it's basically to clear the creep. Moonfire is a fantastic one against it, but even Garrosh or heroes like a Stitches Slam, they can use that as well. And keeping the creep count low, keeping it limited, is going to be so important, not just to deny the enemy team of vision, but more importantly to deny Nidus network from Danatan.
Forceful used again, and this is Muradin getting ping-ponged around the map here, and Booyah thrown further back to prevent any kind of Tracer follow-up, and Hook just falling short. I'm liking the idea here that because their damage output is so slow, using the Force Wall, our Team France, try and hold people still long enough for them to get their damage output.
Here's the problem though, Tetra. Look at Danatan in the bottom lane on that Zagara, causing so much confusion by pushing all by himself, helped by the Web Weavers, helped by the little Spider Minions they spawn. And in the meantime, although it is a 5 versus 4 situation, Team Italy just can't seem to get a grip and kill anyone on Team France.
Muradin is the focus here. Avatar will be expiring soon, but he's able to leap away. That Dwarf Toss, beautifully done. Zagara, on the other hand, is about to kill a
And goodbye, baby.
Can she get punished?
No, she's already gone.
And she's gone. She's gone. Web Weaver will get taken out. Keep will survive, but the fact it's so low, it's as good as dead.
And look at the Nidus positioning by Danatan. He used 1 in the bottom and 1 in the top lane. That's the maximum distance you can put in between 2 lanes. Exactly. He got a keep in the bottom lane, or almost got it, and he's now going to get the top forward as well. The amount of damage the guard just dealt on the map is insane. And Rhaegar finally was taken out. We talked about his positioning. This time he got caught for good.
Wonka fully stacked on his trait here, getting that extra piercing shot. Go for the throw, trying to be used here to finish off Kurwa. Hook on Muradin. I think he was trying to hit Moldavius here, but Moldavius is tanking through using the door, but the Force Wall prevents the escape.
Well, the true horde was Gyara's last battle cry for now. They were not able to kill anyone else, and Kira is just wrecking the backline. Cess gets away barely, but guess what? That top keep that had been damaged by Danton so hard was now just a cake.
Bot keep goes down, top keep even takes some harassment, as Zagara is gonna give her life to focus it down. Just short, the Roach nearly getting the final hit. She loses quite a few gems, but once again, that keeps now as good as dead. Brightwing can just go deal with it. Zagara can go deal with it. Even the Global Heroes Tracer, her hypermobility can deal with it. It's it's as good as dead. They just need to kill it ASAP to get the catapult pressure.
Exactly, there's no mule available on the side of Team Italy, so Team France was trading permanent damage, which is the top keep almost gone, for a couple of seconds of Zagara being in the Hall of Storms to think about her crimes. But she will be back in a bit, and she's going to continue her naughty business.
Storms and Fairy Fires being used here to put some pressure on Tass, being hooked in. Well, Davis not able to land. But they are going to try and focus down Muradin here. Avatar is dropped. He gets rooted, so he can't jump away. Everyone will try and zone out the rest of the heroes to give Wonka a chance to escape. As Booyah is chasing down Kuro. Wonka holding down the rest of the team as he's focused. Can they finish him? No, he can't. Dwarf toss as we do see Wonka escaping. Ancestral will also keep Booyah alive. Back and forth between these two teams.
Yeah, the spike bomb by Tracer forced out the Ancestral because of the additional percentage damage. It was enough, but there goes another kill against Team Italy.
They're able to finally finish him off. They're looking for more. Good start on Cess, and he goes down.
So many
Fatal
gems.
error in full retreat. Force Wall is gorgeous, and he will die too. Muradin even going ahead to look for Rayquaza here. Rayquaza will escape, but Fatal error goes down. Catapults and Siege Giants in the bot lane. France are going to attempt to end.
Yeah, they're going to try to go for the killing blow here. Mercenaries in the bottom lane, supported by catapults, minions, and heroes alike. Still 4 members gone for Team Italy. 15 seconds until reinforcements will arrive. And there's only one Malfurion. Can he do it? I don't think so. Rayquaza's defense is not enough, and Team France takes game number 1 in incredibly dominant fashion towards the end.
And yeah, exactly as you said, France, in the early game, Italy's comp was working, but it only took a couple kills, a couple times of Tracer finding the target to blow up and executing to perfection. Beautifully done by France, but by no means an easy game, at least through the first 15 minutes.
Absolutely. So
yeah,
it's just as we described before. Italy, they had a very strong lane rotation, and they took control of the early game, and they abused the weakness that France have in the early game on this map. But as soon as it got a bit more disorganized, as soon as France got their chaos, like, let's play the macro game style going, it was all over. Italy just could not keep up.
And I think this is where the momentum shifted in favor of France, when you have seasoned veterans like Danatan and Kira in the team who know how to play the game, who know how to take care of just Hero League brawling 24/7. It worked well for Italy until level 10, 13, but then it was all over and they couldn't control Danatan anymore.
Like you said, the second they were out of control, as we were all saying before the game happened, the second Italy were out of control, they weren't able to do anything. Tracer killing off Rhaegar early, or just even splitting the team. I love that force wall pick. Not only did it allow them to get their damage out, but it separated the team so they weren't in control anymore, and it put heroes out of range of that into the fray, which could have saved their lives a couple times.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Bakery has a couple of highlights ready for us to show us why France ended up winning as they did.
So the first replay I have is Italy. They are getting a ton of kills in the early game, but they are not actually converting. And if we can swap over to that screen, we will actually see. Now this starts off with the classic combo on Brightwing. It's the hook, it's the flip, and we start a bit late, but we see that Muradin here, like, Italy want more. They want to kill the Muradin. But look at Curva. This whole time he's been trading damage, Now he sees the 4 hit on Tubuya on the stitches, and that's all he needs. That's his opportunity. The perfect dash to the side, the perfect bomb, gets the parting gift as well on its level 4 talent, and returns the kill. So this was a 2-for-1 that most likely would have resulted in a turn-in, and that could have been Italy's chance to snowball. But Curva making the play, saving the game, and keeping fans in it.
Yeah, definitely true. I mean, it was really admirable to see how France almost willingly accepted that they would lose the early game. It was never like they were overcommitting. It was never really they were pressuring and trying to fight against what Italy had. They took a couple of blows, but in the end, they made sure that they could always retaliate.
You actually said it in the draft before we head into the next one that they saved the Tracer till last. And that was the point. The Zagara was just almost given full freedom because they picked against the Zagara and then realized that Tracer was such a big problem that they didn't have the tools to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. Zagar took that whole bottom wall, and that's even though Italy got 3 kills, they could not get a lead from it because of the Zagar pick. But the second replay I have is a fantastic team fight, 12 versus 12.
Go for it.
So as we get into it, we see Stitches looks really out of position, but Moldavius, the player we highlighted before, makes this huge play. Look at him, he's so greedy. He presses Q first, and then he gets a 3-man talk, Rayquaza on the Malfurion, and follows that up with a silence. And this is absolute domination. France could have ended this game so cleanly and so much earlier, but this huge play from the Garage means that basically Italy were back in the game.
There goes the juke.
Competitive all the way through. And this is the icing on top. This sums up the game, I think, honestly. Like, Masquerade on this Tassadar, so close to dying, but the Moonfire is 1 pixel. It's 1 pixel off, and it does not stop the back. And then France survive and win the video game.
Moonfire only shows vision from the hitting in the radius, I believe.
Exactly.
So he was so close to landing it. Even if he just dropped another one just a little bit further on, he would have found him because the cooldown was there.
Yeah.
It's just, he thought that's where he is. Nope, don't see him. Clearly didn't go that way.